Look at that. Look at that. Another week, another SlapperCast. Hey, what? Can you slap a number on this thing?
This one is 181.
181, 181.
Slap it onwards.
Look at that. Same forwards and backwards. I like it.
That's right.
What is it? I don't even know what day is today, but to you, it's Tuesday. So welcome. Happy Tuesday. And we're probably already in August. We're recording this in December of 93.
Yeah, we're way ahead of schedule.
Yeah. We're just overachievers. But happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Slapper Day. God, so much to get to. Our little friends on Patreon would have woken up the other day with recording we were messing around with. We're messing around with some home recording stuff. Then sending Ruben Smalley home to
sweeten it up.
Yeah.
Tart it up.
Yeah, it was very, very fun. Kind of one take thing, and then kind of, hey, what if we take this out and put this in? So it was a very, really, really fun project. It was and it was it's not a song that we'd ever played.
Had you been doing that?
Yeah, I started doing it acoustically twice. It's just one of those songs that it's always been a little bit slower. Johnny Cash did it kind of slow, and
it's almost like a funeral march in a way.
Yeah.
It's got this ding ding thing that all his hits had back then. We're talking about "Don't Take Your Guns to Town," by the way, by Johnny Cash.
Oh, I didn't say that. Whoops.
Yeah.
Marker.
Which Johnny actually did write. That's one of his self-penned early singles he put out on Sun Records.
Yeah, very, very, and his recording is very raw. And the thing one of the things that made Johnny Cash so relatable was the honesty in the words. And he never tried to step out of his, he never tried to Bob Dylanize his vocabulary and his poetry. He just kind of kept it simple, and he spoke straight to the man. And he just So I wanted to when I played it acoustically, I wanted to have a little bit more of a crunchy kind of a little bit more kind of a driving feel to it, and it was and then of course the harmonies kind of just a lot of the times that the way you and I work is the harmonies will kind of just show themselves on the. It's nothing that's worked out. It's kind of one of those things that you just hear in your head and you just sing it.
They're always there. It's like you choose, basically just choosing whether you're going to sing them or not.
Yeah. And when I was playing the song in at the Hibernia in Arkansas, I heard I was here as I'm singing it. I'm hearing the harmony. Oh yeah. So yeah, it was one of those things. It was just and the drum beat was on the computer. It was it was one of those things where you say, hey, play that beat. Okay, this kind of works on that, and it was a little slower, a little crunchier, a little rocking.
Yeah, that whole session. This was the second of 2 days where we're just on a whim. We're just recording whatever came to mind, and this is we're using the same board that we use at the live shows. Now we have been, I don't know, for 5 months now.
MR18. It's Behringer used to make it, and Midas do it now, and it is. And one Luba Dvorak had suggested we acquire that piece of gear, and it has been the greatest. Been a bit of a learning curve for us too, because everything that we've had in the past has been a digital board with a screen and everything on it. And you could just go from screen to screen and you can see everything. This is not. This is just essentially a metal block with inserts in it, and then you attach, you connect to the iPad, and then the iPad now becomes that digital screen, but everything's plugged into a thing. So it was a little bit of a mind fuck when we tried to, go from a we did. Yeah, there's areas in it that are just not very user friendly, and again, we've gone from the analog board to the digital board to this, which is, like I say, a learning curve. However, it's been very, very fun. And Luba is one of these sound guys. We'd met him at the Continental Club in Houston, Texas, and not only an incredibly gifted musician and lyricist, but he's one of those sound guys that your jaw drops when you hear what he can do without without much. And he's a less is more guy, so you're not going in there to thousands of channels and buckets of effects. And he mixes for rock and roll or for country or whatever that is needed at the time. And a delight to work with. And so when he said, "This is what I recommend," I said, "Well, that's what I'm going to get," and happily got it. And I'm just very, very, very pleased with it.
So we knew when we got it, when Patrick got it, that it had the capability to record. The one we used before is a QSC TouchMix 16, which its best feature, I think, was you could stick a thumb drive in the back and just tell it to record the show, and it'll record all the tracks that you've got plugged in. Yeah, it did 32 gigabyte thumb drive is what we used, so you could record. It was enough room in there for about 4 hours of material of whatever it was, 12 tracks we were recording at once.
And just to the regular punter too, this is usually 4 vocal tracks, then guitar track, bass track, fiddle track, kick drum, snare, sometimes an overhead mic to capture the cymbals and all that stuff. A lot of the times you don't need it, but so this is all those tracks separated out for you and recorded, and then you can doctor each of the channels. So it was a great learning. It's not imperative for most. It's imperative for us to record every show because everything changes on a nightly basis. It's never this. Our good friend Sharon would say, you never do the same show twice, and they know because they've traveled with us in Ireland. They've come to back to back shows in Texas and surprised us and others. So they know what we do. So just to give you the enormity of the ability of that tiny little thumb drive and the feature that Chad's talking about, it's massive to say the least. To put all that stuff, record it digitally and so clearly, and and then with the abilities like to go in and manipulate every single thing. It's just
There literally are. I have years of live shows because we had the TouchMix, our previous board, since 2016, I think. And so I got in the habit of recording almost every show we played. This is all stored on a hard drive now somewhere. I mean, so shows that I didn't have time to listen to and I'm probably never actually going to hear. But it was a little bit overwhelming how much we had, in the early days, is dreaming of being able to do that. And then we finally had it. We're like, we can do all these recordings. But we hadn't done it in a while with the new Midas because we hadn't. It's a little more complicated to record. You can't just stick a thumb drive in the back. You have to hook a laptop.
Well, you can if you get a hammer and you can put it anywhere.
Right. But but the cool thing about it is that you've got basically it's a little easier than I thought it would be. All you have to do is hook up a USB cable to it, put it in your computer, and then you've got everything you've got plugged into the board. And there's how many channels are there on it?
18.
18. Yeah.
18.
You can take all those inputs and map them to separate tracks and on your computer and record all those tracks separately, which is what we only did 3 tracks when we were experimenting with this the other day. But that's what we were experimenting. It was the whole point was just try to see if we could figure out how to make this work, and it was pretty easy. So we just kept tooling around with it, and I had been messing around with drum loops and editing MIDI. It's actually MIDI drum tracks, which surprisingly can sound really natural if you know how to utilize them. And you've got ridiculous amount of control over what the drums are doing. You can move notes around. You can just use different snare sounds, whatever you want. Build fills and things like that. Move the kick drum around, whatever you want.
Or you can go to a back alley and do drugs like me.
Yeah, right.
Fuck that shit.
So we found a drum loop that was decent enough to use as kind of a click track, and we were saying, "What do you want to record? Let's try this. Let's do it." And we did "Receive Heartbreak," another Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And we ran through that with the drums behind us. And then you said, this tempo actually is good for Don't Take Your Guns to Town. So we just, on that same track, I forgot it was on the same track, but on the same session that Guns is on, Heartbreak is before it at the same tempo with the same drum loop. And so it was a bunch of other stuff too. We recorded a version of Rock and Roll Patty, the Shane MacGowan Pope's song. We
Oh
did.
yeah.
What else did we do? Oh, we did "Spin Me Around Like a Record." And I was
Dead or
intending to
Alive.
make. Yeah, I was intending to take all these and mix them down so we could listen to them, but I got so focused. There was something special about "Don't Take Your Guns to Town," that particular performance. We spent a little bit more time on that. Because Patrick tracked some harmony vocals and put a tambourine on it, and so then I took it home and started messing around with the drums to try to make it sound more like a real drummer. I was putting fills in and just different touches, trying to imagine what a good drummer would do, and got pretty far into that, and it started sounding like a real recording. So I was like, let's give it the Patreon. Why not?
Yeah. So
That,
if you do get a chance to listen to it, let us know what you think.
mm-hmm.
I'd like to just get a little feedback on that, see what's. But the other thing is too, we've spoken many times about what if, but we're talking about being able to record so much material, so many hours of music in separate track form. I mean, imagine if the Beatles had been able to do that in Hamburg. Imagine if Elvis Presley had been, had have had, it just, go back to the Sun sessions, go back to when it was Bill Black, Scotty Moore, and imagine what you could, just the technology, So I'm just trying to say that if you were, around in the 50s and 60s and you didn't come up with this, I'm just saying you're just not as bright as we are. No, it's so invigorating when you're able to do that at the touch of a button.
Mm-hmm.
Press just everything's at your fingertips, and imagine it's endless. It's endless. What would have I think we'd be. The music industry, in my opinion, kids, big asterisks right here, my opinion, but I think the music industry is taking a beating right now. Absolutely. And I'm only saying that from the live music perspective. We have been in hell since the lockdown, and not just musicians suffered, everybody suffered, no question. Unless of course you're Amazon or one of those wankers.
Mm-hmm.
But so live music has definitely come back. There's no shortage of bands and of venues and blah blah blah, on and on and on. However, these bars are still trying to catch their breath. And just simple as that. They're trying to not even recoup, just stabilize. They're trying to get back to where they were before. And I spoke to everybody's friend, everybody's hero, young Eamon Finnerty of Molly's Pubs. He and his partner Mike Daly, they have 20 pubs ish, something like that.
At least, yeah. I think there's more than 20.
And they, you talk about taking a beating. Those guys, they have to pay their licenses. They have to still pay their electricity. They still have to pay, they have to keep everybody on, because when it comes back, you got to have your staff, right? So they just incurred so much. They went through so much, and they were just decimated. But when I spoke to Eamon last week, we had lunch a few months ago, and he was saying, he said, "Look, I'm happy. I'm just happy that the doors are open, and we're not." He said, "We're definitely not back to where we were, but he said, I'm just glad that we're open and our regulars are back, and we're making a little, but we're not losing a lot, So anyway. I say all that to say that So I think the music business is taking a beating because a lot, and fair play to them. If you're in a tribute band, more power to you. It's really difficult doing a more niche thing like ours. Just to do it at the level that we were doing it. Playing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But that whole tangent right there, marker, is because if the technology was available back then to record all that stuff, I just think that when we got to here, I think every single song would have been written and performed and remixed and dance mixed, and
Yeah. One of the cool things, the reason this setup is so cool, is that you've gotten the habit of taking the board, same board we use at the shows. You take it home, you take it out, and you've got your little station there and because you've been messing with it at home or when you're just practicing or whatever. So it's like, it's just really natural. All I have to do is bring my laptop now, plug it into there, and say, all right, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We got it, and it's already, there's just one step, but it's not that, wasn't that big of a deal to download with the old drive where it was a thumb drive. I had to take that thumb drive, put it on my computer, export the files, and then drag them in individually into, it was a little tedious, 12, 13 different tracks.
Yeah.
Put them in, it was an extra step. It took some time. Now it's like, it's already in there. I was doing this when we recorded it. I was putting reverb on it, and it's really cool. It's essentially, like the way I put it, it was like we're basically traveling now with a mobile recording studio. That board with my computer, and the gear that we always have, the mics and everything. We can do almost anything.
Endless, endless possibilities.
So
and it's such a nice book. We've had boards in the past where analog mixing boards where it just didn't matter what you and also remember those crappy JBL plastic speakers. They were great because they were small enough and loud enough, but they were just so abrasive. The sound was so just harsh. You could not. I mean, you could, but we didn't have time to. Remember we're playing 4 or 5 times a week, and we didn't budget, nor did we have a budget for a sound guy. So and it's always easier to travel with just the band, just simply because less space, less, and we've so running the sound from the stage is nothing new to us, and we're kind of enjoy it, especially when you go home and you listen back to the stuff. You go, oh, that's not okay. You note to self. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we're always thinking of recording. It's always, hey, like Chad said, I set the board up here, and I'll record stuff, just song ideas, and there's mountains of riffs and mountains of just speaking in tongues nearly. Just trying to capture that moment when you hit 2 or 3 chords that go together and you sing something already. Hey, all right. So I have just endless amounts of riffs and songs that are actually done. I just need to redo. Something on a Monday morning sounds great. That night, Monday night, or even Tuesday morning, I fucking hate it. So
yeah, this might be interesting to take some of these ideas when they're fresh and put them down to see how you feel about them when they're actually, semi-produced.
Yeah.
I've always been stunned at like ideas I've had, songs I've been sitting around for years. I sit down and I put a drum track behind it and tool with it a little, try to make it sound real, and it's all of a sudden it sounds like something completely way better than I even imagined it,
Yeah.
So it's crazy how things can come to life like that in the studio studio.
And studio. That's generous. I know that there's a lot of stuff being added to the calendar, and I think if you or or anybody might be interested in a little rock and roll, send them to blaggards.com because we have some. But I think that there should be some killing right about now. I know that if you've been living in and around the United States, I know that you've been having a little bit of heat. I hope this next month of August is going to be very kind to you. I hope that August to me is the greatest month anyway. So your troubles will be few in August. So, I'd like to kill a song, and I'd like to revive something. But Chad, you're going to go first this time because you've been dying to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I started a few days ago. I'm still house sitting for my mom here, as you can see. And one day when I got up, I was making coffee. I just wanted to listen to something, which I don't often listen to music at home that much. I'll do it when I'm getting ready to go somewhere, but it's not something I'm in the habit of doing first thing. So you know what, I'm going to put some music on. And the first thing that came to mind in that moment was an album that I grew up with because my parents had it before I was born. Cosmos Factory by Creedence Clearwater Revival. There's a couple of hits on it, and there's a bunch of other tracks on there that most people probably have never heard unless you're familiar with the record. And I'd forgotten how much I just love that that record and the band at that time. But I love John Fogerty. I'm not a huge, I'm not a huge fan to the extent I don't own all of his stuff or anything, but I just think he's a treasure. I love the guy. I think from what I've seen, he's a good
Calm
dude.
down. He's married.
He's a good dude who's been through a lot of shit, legal shit, problems, and all that kind of crap. But anyway, I'm saying that I'm trying to soften the blow I'm about to lay on. The song I wanted to kill today is, we mentioned it a few shows back. Centerfield, which was a big hit that he had in 1985, album of the same name. Not a bad song, actually. And if you think about it, it sounds like a Creedence song, obviously, but it has become, I think, one of the most overplayed songs. Again, it's almost as overplayed as the other baseball related song that I killed recently by Dire Straits, Walk of Life.
Walk of Life.
Yeah. You just hear it too often.
Was that based? I thought it was a football song, Walk of Life.
Well, yeah, it's not specifically baseball. The reason why I thought that baseball teams have used it, it has been kind of embraced by the baseball industry, from what I understand. But you watch the video, there's clips of all different. It's not just baseball. There's football. There's baseball, and anything with a ball in it, I think. But yeah, the lyrics are not about baseball. But for some reason, it's probably partially because of that video that came out. It's been associated with baseball, but obviously Centerfield is specifically about baseball. And it's just, I don't know. It's, again, not a bad song. It's just, it's just grates on my nerves. But I do think, I think John Fogerty was a brilliant songwriter. And I think that he, as a guitar player, he's very underrated. People don't really talk about his guitar work. One of the things I had forgotten, I was reading about them this morning. Creedence, I'd forgotten how huge they were in the late 60s. They were absolutely massive. When you think about the kind of band they were, it was kind of remarkable. It's just, a 4-piece guitar, bass, drums band. And a lot of their records, the thing I really love about Cosmo's Factory, that record, is that it's like pretty much all their stuff back then was really simple. There might be some organ on some tracks, and there's a sax on some of their songs. As long as I Can See the Light has a saxophone on it, but it's just really just raw, and it just sounds great. And there's the song I'm going to revive. It's actually the first track on Cosmo's Factory, called Ramble Tamble, and it's weird. It starts off as it's kind of a boom chick song, and it doesn't. At first, it doesn't really sound like there's anything particularly special about it, but then the song stops, and then this other thing starts, and it just turns into this long guitar solo that lasts for like 4 minutes or something like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Are you familiar with it?
No, I actually am not. But I like the idea of the 4-minute guitar solo.
Yeah. But I mentioned that too because his solo, his playing on that, his playing on that is really remarkable. I think he's doing a lot of really cool tricks in it. It's cool to hear that, because I just, most of the time when you think of CCR, you think of all the big hits, Born on the Bayou and all that crap.
Overplayed bullshit. Yes.
Yeah. But they were a great band. It's a shame that they didn't really, the band themselves didn't really appreciate what they had, because they were ridiculously successful, and it was largely because of the guidance that John had. And I was reading about the problems that they had. There were a lot of legal problems too. They had, like everybody, had shitty record deals and were getting ripped off by the record company and all that stuff. But the band members themselves thought that they were the Beatles. John, like everybody, then wanted to be the next Beatles, wanted to be bigger than the Beatles as best they could. But the other members of the band thought that meant that they could write songs too. It's like, but we want to write songs, and John was like, no, what, this is after they're getting hit after hit after hit, with him at the helm.
Yeah.
And it was really the acrimony between him and the other 3 guys that was one of the things that tore the band apart, because they just couldn't let well enough alone.
Well, that brings to mind the Police.
Mm-hmm.
They were again thrust into stardom. They wouldn't say quickly, but in the scheme of things, it's quite fast. However, they all realized that Sting was writing the big hits, but they still were contributing. The guys, were still
sure
and able to put other stuff in. And we've been, yeah, CCR, Beatles, us, yeah, but I mean, in our very very short time in writing and stuff like that, it's not it's definitely not it's my personal preference would be to be in a room and just knock it out, which uh, we just never had the luxury of it. We did back in the day, but we were trying to learn our set. We were trying to get our craft together.
Mm-hmm.
But and the Kinks come to mind too when you think of Ray Davies and Dave Davies, just battling it out and physically attacking each other. Never mind just So
right.
And people, a lot of people over the years, have lamented about the CCR, not getting back together, and what about a reunion? What about and music is so fucking weird. It's so strange. Artists are so. I mean, of course, there's you can't say artists are, because there's every single one of them different. You can just even John Fogerty and Sting, who essentially were or Lionel Richie, the main songwriter in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't put any of those guys in the same room and they're all going to be together. They're all going to be one. You can't do that. You can't have But again, look at something like the fucking Rabbit Hole. Talk about that, right? Shut up. We need a.
That's why we do this every week.
I know.
We never know where it's going to go.
I know. It just. But the animosity, that band animosity too. That this needs to be a thing too, because it's just it's so difficult to read a musician. I used to as a kid, I would watch a live band, and I'd be able to pick out the person that's going to leave next, just because like you look at John Deacon in Queen, and he's just back there. He looks like he's now to a kid, he looks like he's not having any fun. But to a musician, it looks like that guy is having a fucking ball, because he is locked in with Taylor, and he's, he is playing his ass off, but he's not like Steve Harris from Iron Maiden, who is all over the place and doing, so the animosity thing, focus, is to us, to the listener and to the CCR fan, would be, it'd be great if they got back together. It would just be it'd be so good. And they would, but to John and maybe the other members, that's like, fuck that. I don't want anything to do with them. Only because of all the bad blood that's been spilled and all of the time that's passed. Again, as you, the listener, know better than the band, because that's your band. You listen to them. I bought their first record. I was at the first. I did. On and on. The band have lived this shit. They've dealt with the fucking drummer that can't fucking remember that he's got a girlfriend at home and shags everything. That the fucking horn player that's in jail. The fucking the bass player that's been picked up on child molestation charges. No offense, Chad. You're bruised and you're battered and you're torn down by these people over time. You got no fucking intention of getting that back together. And there's no reason to, because you think John Fogerty is hurting for money right now? No. And again, not about the money. I'm just talking about, but and expression and, and the way that he writes, like Sting wanted to do all that airy fairy, and nothing against Sting. I don't like him, but I fucking love the Police. And then you take Sting on his own, and yeah, the music is brilliant and his players are top fucking notch. But I'd take the Police any fucking day. I'd take the Police with missing appendages and colds and limps and stutters and what I would just take that over, and that's just my taste. Do they give a fuck about what? No, and they shouldn't. So,
yeah. And they're a special case too, because they did have a lot of internal conflicts and stuff like that, but they also really love each other too. And if you
Yeah,
watch, that's kind of why we got that reunion tour they did a few years back. I mean, that's the only reason that really happened at all is because they are able to get along for short periods of time, and
yeah,
they realize that they're just face. Yeah, we don't, there's only so much we can stand of each other, so we'll do this tour and then we'll go our separate ways again. But
yeah,
it's magical that actually was able to happen. That they were able to set their differences aside long enough to get to do that tour and to do work their magic again. Because a lot of bands don't do that. I've talked about this before too. Like a lot of really famous bands, the ones that have shaped the music industry and stuff, like the Who, the Beatles themselves, and Creedence, all these guys, rocketed to stardom fairly early in their career before a lot of these cracks became apparent. The Ramones is a really good example that they really, none of them really liked each other at all, but they hit it big so fast that they were kind of forced to continue just because they were already there. The Who as well, those guys loved each other, but could you imagine being in a band with somebody like Keith Moon? In a real world, a behavior and a personality like that, just ready to explode at any moment. Most bands wouldn't be able to survive that, more than a couple weeks. But because of the money and the success, it kind of held it together, and it's just incredible. Yeah. Anyway, that's definitely a rabbit hole topic for
Oh,
sure.
I know. That should be just a recurring topic too. Is the animosity, the
Mm-hmm.
friction, the band quarrel. So I'm going to I'm going to turn on a dime. I wasn't gonna do this one today, but it bothered me. It just bothered me momentarily now, but it's bothered me for years. I'm going to kill a song that's very, very popular. A song by a band called Led Zeppelin. You kids probably won't know who they are, but I'm just not a fan. And as influential and as you're talking about people that shaped music, they certainly did. And yes, of course, it'd be easy to kill Stairway to Heaven. I still hate it. I think the last time I liked that song was 83 years ago. So it's been a while, but the song I'd like to kill is called Rock and Roll. It's kind of it's kind of low hanging fruit, yes, but it just bothered me, and it wasn't even planned. This isn't even planned. Um, uh, I'm not. I'm not a fan of. We've spoken about this before too, but we're kind of not a fan of the the song that takes that same shape every time. It just does this, and that to me that song, you can tell the next line before it's sung, before it's played, before it's kind of to me. And then the other thing that's just completely irritating about that song is you're going to hear it at all the open jams, and then you're going to hear the ending, the John Bonham ending. I think John Benet Ramsey would do a better ending on the drums than you. You know, it's one of those songs that it seems like you would be able to play it because it's kind of it makes sense for the track. However, when you hear it played, you usually hear it played very, very poorly. And there's an old saying, shoes in the dryer. That
Yes.
that's the tempo. That's what you're going to get. So that song annoys me on very, very much. And again, but in taking a usually I go from here and then go way over there to do a thing, but I'll stick within that thing and I'll say something nice about. Um, in the '90s, young Robert Plant did a record, uh, and again, I'm not a fan. However, he did a song called "Ship of Fools." It was kind of popular, and so, but I thought it was a sonically a good sounding song, and I thought it was I just thought for him it was a very just nice melodic, laid back. He's not trying to do any screaming or ah, ah. There's
Yeah.
and it was just a nice departure to hear him sing. I know that I haven't heard it, but I know he's done some really good work with Alison Krauss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I could care less, but that was to me, that was a song that, and again, I know what Led Zeppelin did, and I know what they're accused of or credited for starting metal no, they didn't. But they were huge. I mean, an absolute unstoppable. And then the players, every single one of them, like the Beatles. Without one, you're not going to have the whole. Without that. So, but anyway, so the Ship of Fools was actually a record that I said, wow, okay, I'll step back and I'll tip my hat. You're just a tremendous version of it, and the band played it well, and it was a very sonic. It was just a little bit mellow, but
Was that
I do that.
was that the title of a song too? Ship of Fools on that
Yeah,
record?
yeah. Sorry, that was the single. Yeah,
Okay, I don't know if I've heard. I'm sure I must have heard it.
yeah.
I'm
It was
struggling.
quite huge around that time, and it was lovely because he didn't step out of that. To me, I always hear him go sharp or flat when he's doing the high stuff, and uh,
Mhm.
that's my job. That's my niche,
Yeah,
Mr. Plant. So
I I got what his solo record. There was a couple of his solo things he did in the '80s. I thought that I liked at the time. That I forget, there was a couple of records he put out in the mid '80s. That the one that has a big log on it. Remember that song?
no,
These videos were on YouTube, on MTV all the time. And I don't. I need to
YouTube.
look up the. I need to look up the guitar player that he played with. But there was the one that, I'm in the mood for a melody. I'm
Yeah.
in the mood for a melody. I'm in the mood. I kind of like that song. There was something weird. It didn't sound anything like Led Zeppelin. It was
Yeah,
kind of
well,
cool that he was doing stuff like that.
that could be part of the reason why I like this one so much because it was very laid back and it just a nice. I won't say groovy, but it was just very nice and it was nice and mellow. Actually, but I will say because I'll have to go back to work, go to the drawing board. But one of the things I was going to revive today was I talk about mellow. I was listening to an Irish band called Clannad, Clannad. It's just one of these bands that were big in the '80s and Family Clan. They uh, they had big hits. There was a great TV show which I don't remember seeing. I know I must have seen it, but it was called Harry's Game back in the day, based in Northern Ireland. And they also did I don't know if it was a TV show or a movie, but it was they did the soundtrack to a TV show I think called Robin Hood. But the track that I listened to and that I liked, very very mellow, but just beautifully done. And now it just it just left me. Oh damn you, crack cocaine!
Do you
Um,
want me to search for it?
no, 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 no.
No.
Well, this isn't the one. Oh, okay, another thing, another little just detour here while I dig. Um, they did a song with a young fella named Bono, and I'm not a fan, just not a fan. However, he sings very well on this track. So that song is called "In a Lifetime,"
There.
and it's beautifully done. It's just the video's kind of crap, but the song is just beautifully done. If you got headphones, you want to listen, and I'm talking very 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 mellow. I got the other one. I had to sing it. Um,
Okay.
but so "In a Lifetime" is with Clannad and Bono, and if you're a U2 fan, you will like this song because it's kind of that early Bono, that big, high voice. Just and the harmonies are beautiful. That they're not harmonies that can just easily be picked out. They're just beautifully done, and it's got that Celtic feel. Blah blah blah. The song I was going to "Closer to the Heart." Again, one of those kind of tripe titles. I think I'm going to write a song called "Closer to the Heart" today. But it's one of those. It's like, really, how about love? How about, to me, it's kind of great title. Why don't you call the band Kiss? Great idea. So, but to me, melodically and very very mellow. But it's just a beautifully. the song is done beautifully, and again, it's 80s, so it's got that 80s gloss to it, if you will. Um, but it's one of those things. I love melody, I love hooks, and this song has it all. Again, if you're if you're in that you know Slayer, goat whore, maiden kind of mood, don't listen to this. It's not, but it's beautifully done. And I thought it was a well crafted song. I love when a song is delivered and the studio is as attentive to the piece, and this is one of those things where I just think it's just crystal clear across the thing, and it's a great listen. So it's
Cool.
if you're in that kind of a Celtic, laid back, atmospheric kind of thing, that's here. And they do have some really good stuff. I'm not into their Irish, their trad stuff with the harp and the very laid back. The harmonies are insane, and the melodies and the blah 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 on and on. I can listen to a small bit after that. It's "Get Me the Machete" after the.
What are they still playing?
I don't know. I didn't look them up. I would be surprised if they're not. I think Enya sang with them for a while, and isn't she dead? I thought she was eaten by one of those puppies she was singing to, but she is she sang with them for a while. But Moya Brennan was the lead singer when I was introduced to when I heard them first. But again, we're talking about when I think of families and harmonies and stuff like that, you think of Bee Gees, right? First, right? Maybe.
Families, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, because they do have, and my good friend Barry Gibb used to boast about, not boast, excuse me, no, scratch that from the record, Your Honor. Barry Gibb used to just say that, or maybe it was Robin. Who cares? Who cares? They're not gonna. I guarantee you, they're not gonna call me and dispute this. But playing and singing with your brothers or your family, you're going to come up with harmonies naturally. You're just going to have basically an instrument that other bands don't have. And to me, that was the essence of everything BG was. They knew each other inside and out, for better or for worse, and made some of the best. I mean, seriously, wrote some of the best hits of all time.
My God.
Hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, winding back to the Bono song that Bono did with Clannad.
In a Lifetime, yes.
What was wrong? You said the video was bad. I'm just curious, what was wrong with the video? With that,
watch it. It's the 80s, and you kind of go, oh, is that? I can't talk about hair, but fuck me, running that wig that he had.
Was that during his mullet years?
Yeah.
It was pretty much the entire 80s. He had a huge mullet, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. Yeah. That's not a hairdo. That's a hair don't, kids.
Yeah.
Oof.
I've been there.
Yes, I know.
That's why my hair left me. I abused it.
That's exactly right. You deserve it. Chad Moulet. So that's it, kids. We've done a little killing. I do want to mention, though, there is a young lady named Heidi Riggs who you're saying, why the fuck isn't she here? Well, let me tell you, she's got a fiddle. She's got a brand new fiddle, and we're going to show you not only photographs of that fiddle, but we're gonna twist her arm and we won't twist her arm. We'll twist somebody else's arm and make her play. You got to hear this damn thing. She nailed it. We're giving her a little time to kick that beast into shape, but she will. And so just stay tuned to that. Again, to mention a little housekeeping here, boys and girls, we're going to be hitting the road soon, going all the way up to a place called Montana and all the way back because we live here. And I just want to say on the website right now, with a bunch of stuff on sale. Actually everything, we put everything, trying to clear it out. We're gonna do a summer. We're gonna do a summer a new line maybe, so not maybe,
Yeah.
we're going to definitely do a new line, but we're just going to, and as usual, we'll keep you posted from the road. We'll do some band chats and some vats, if you will, and we'll do, we'll keep you posted. Come with us. We'd love to have you.
That's right.
So
so blaggards.com/store. As you mentioned, everything's on sale. There's 10% off almost pretty much everything. All the t-shirts and apparel that you can buy in the store is on sale. And there's a really good deal on the coffee right now, and work shirts.
Yes, and Brian Reeves and Doc Doherty were the first in there. Right in there, grab so. But thank you, everybody, and just remember, tip the staff, stop twice at the lights, and say no to drugs after you share.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All right, kids.
See ya.
Thanks for listening.